What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to do another Improving Axis Football 16 video because it's been a while since I've done one. And the release is getting closer and closer, and the more feedback I can give Danny, the better. So, the first thing I'd like to see added that I see that has been omitted so far, but it was in his animations video, so there's hope that it will come into the game. But we've got the juke this year, and we've got the spin, but we're missing the stiff arm. Now, we need the stiff arm as a move, as well as the hurdle too, but I'm not going to talk about the hurdle in this video. But the stiff arm important because sometimes a player doesn't have the kind of agility that a player that can juke well has. So, they need something else. And if they're strong enough, with their arms, they could be able to stiff arm a player down. Tight ends and big wide receivers, running backs can do this. But some running backs and wide receivers are not going to be able to stiff arm. Some are going to be able to juke and spin away. So I'm going to show you some clips of Madden 08, and some of them are kind of choppy because of the action program I used to record, and I apologize for that. But we're going to talk about stiff arms, play art, catching animations, defensive swats, and player portrait mods. Let's get to it. Alright, so stiff arms. Stiff arms are important for any ball carrier, especially the bigger ones like the tight ends and the running backs and the wide receivers that are larger, because it's an additional weapon as opposed to the juke, where if they can't juke very well, they got another weapon at their disposal. Play art is important because sometimes we just forget the play, or we need to look at it one more time to analyze what's going to happen, and I'll show an example of that later in this video. Catching animations, we desperately need in Axis Football, and I think it's well suited for Axis Football because the ball will go in that circle in Axis Football, and the bigger the circle is, the more chances it's got to land in that circle. It's a wider circle, it's going to be a bigger circle, it's going to land in a lot of different spots, depending on various factors. I'm not sure how that works, but so if it's poorly thrown, the receiver would have to dive to catch it. If it's really accurately thrown, you hit him in stride. So we need all these kind of animations where you catch it in stride, you try to dive for it, that kind of thing. I really want to see this added to Axis Football, the catching animations, and I'm going to show some low catching animation, and I'm going to show another one that's high. And defensive swats is something that is currently absent from Axis Football, and it needs to be in the game eventually, but I'm not sure when he can add it. But not just in the defensive backfield, but also on the line, because defensive players on the line, if they can't get to the quarterback, they are taught to get their hands up and knock the pass down. And we need to see this added to Axis Football because it will add a lot more immersion for the defense and a lot more strategy too for the defense. So we need defensive swats in the secondary and on the line of scrimmage as well. Player portrait mods. This is something that isn't really necessary, but it would be nice to have, especially since this game is moddable. It's a moddable game, and Madden 08 has portrait mods. I'm going to show you some examples of that, or just one example, but it's pretty much the same for all players. So if we could have a way we could add our own player portraits into the game, that would be even better. But one step at a time, let's just get to the stiff arms right now. Okay, so in this example, I have a tight end. He's going out for a pass. Cameron is a pretty big tight end. He's pretty strong. I wouldn't say he could juke anybody out of their shoes, but he could definitely probably do a stiff arm here. Look how he stiff arms the defender away and gets extra yardage, where he couldn't really do a juke at that point. He had to do something, and the stiff arm was the only viable option he had. Besides maybe a shoulder charge. That's something else I'd like to see, but I'm not sure when that can get added. But he did have this kind of a stiff arm animation in his Axis development video, so hopefully we can get it added. And I also like how he changes his hand here, changes the ball to the other hand, this nearest to the sideline, so it doesn't get stripped. That's just another cool feature. And how he pushes him back. So the physics in Axis Football need a lot of improvement. And that would be really cool if we could get the ball physics to be improved as well. But this is one example here why we need stiff arms in Axis Football. And he covers it up too. I like that. I really like that. The stiff arm. It is a good weapon to have for ball carriers. And it's something that really should be added to Axis Football in the future. Definitely. Alright, now we're going to look at some catching animations and why they need to be in Axis Football. Currently, Access Football has no catching animations, but they need them. Here's a low catch. See how he goes down to catch the ball? It's thrown low. Now, in Madden 08, the kind of catching animation is dictated by the quality of the throw, and that should be the case in Access Football as well because of the circle size. If it's thrown poorly and it's outside the rim of the circle, then it needs to be a harder catch to make. And look at this. He goes down. See how he goes down? He puts his hands down by his knees to catch it. We kind of need this in Access Football because, you know, that would add a lot of immersion to the game because right now it just kind of goes into the player. But, yeah, the low throw means a low catching animation. Nice tackle here, too. A little extreme, but I think Madden 08 developers were wrestling fans. Okay, so in this example, we're going to look at a high catching animation. Now, I did this throw on purpose. I knew that Devontae Parker is a great leaper, so I threw it up high so we could go after the ball at its highest point. And this is something that I don't know how this would be added to Access Football with the quality of the throw, because you can't really throw a high. You can tap the mouse button and it'll go kind of high, but I'm not sure. Maybe that can be tweaked in the future. But look how high I throw it here. I'm throwing it high so he can go up and get it. I didn't throw a bullet. I threw it high so he could go up and get it at its highest point. This is a high catching animation, a leaping catch. Really want to see this added to Access Football because there are a lot of great wide receivers that can catch the ball like this in the NFL. Des Bryant, Devontae Parker, lots of great receivers. And we need to see that added to Access Football. And look at 76, how he's kind of got his hands up. He's trying to distract the quarterback. And that would lead me to my next point. Defensive swats. Currently in Access Football, there are no defensive SWAT animations for the defensive secondary or the defensive lineman. This is something that we really need added badly because it's just something that's very basic. And look at this play. I'm going to show it to you at speed first, and then I'm going to show you slow motion. All right, so the linebacker, Koa Misi here on the tight end here. He's following him. Now, just look at how he lays out. And look at 50 here on the Dolphins. Vernon jumps up to he's trying to put his hands up to deflect the ball, but he doesn't quite get it. But he at least made an effort. And now look at this. Misi just stretches out. Look at this defensive SWAT. This is an amazing play by a linebacker here on a tight end. This is something that we really need added to Access Football. Defensive player SWATs, where they're going to try to swat the ball away and on the line. There's two examples on this one play, on the defensive line and in the secondary, or by the linebacker here. Great immersion needs to be added to Access Football. All right, play art. Play art is so important because I use it so much in every football game. You just want to be able to look at the play one more time. You know, zoom out, see where we go. Okay, I got Cooper going that way, so I'm going to try and hit him here in the end zone. But you know, it's just nice to know because sometimes you want to change on the fly. You don't really know what the play is designed to do or whatever. You forget because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in a play, and you just want to be able to look at it again. Me personally, I'm a very visual person, so you know I can look at this play and I can say, okay, I can do a lot of things. Like I could take Smith, I could put him on an out route going towards the sideline. I could hot route Cooper to go on a corner route. I could move Crabtree in motion and then put Cooper on a corner route. Just seeing the play art helps me to strategize about what I want to do. Hell, I could even put Smith on a fly route and go straight down the middle. I mean, but looking at it here, it just gives you a much easier way. It's a lot easier to visualize it. So having play art is something really needs to be added to Access Football. It's in just about every football game, and it needs to be in Access Football because being able to visualize the attack, that's important. And here's the last one. This is a player portrait mod that was put into Madden 08. I don't know how they did it, but if we could somehow, since Access Football is already moddable, I'm wondering how hard it would be for us to be able to put portraits like this into the game, because this would be even better. I mean, we could put ourselves in the game, we could put college player, NFL player, anything we want in our mods, because mods, there's infinite possibilities. So, but this is just an example. Ryan Tannehill was not even in the NFL when Madden 08 was released, so this is a portrait mod example. And this will be the last video clip here. And this is something I've already talked about. And Danny knows that I want this in the game. And a lot of people want to see better quarterback movement in the pocket. And the stepping up in the pocket should affect the throw. But here again, just a nice bomb here to the tight end. But the stepping up is just beautiful. And it's how you get the ball in the hands of the receivers in stride in this game. And it gives you quality passes when you step into your throws. I know I've harped on this a lot, but it's just so important to have in a football game. And most football games don't really push for this kind of thing. That's why I really like this game, because it does so many things right. But here, he drops back. In Axis football, he doesn't have the stepping into the pocket or back into the backpedaling yet, but he did say that he's working on it, so hopefully we'll get it in the future. But this is a nice play and something that would be great to see in Axis football, especially with the passing in Axis football is second to none with that mouse aiming. It would be so sweet to have this. Alright guys, that's it. The beta's coming soon, and I'm looking forward to giving you guys some gameplay video that's early footage. I'm going to do the best I can to get this information out to y'all as fast as I get the game, and hopefully this game will continue to improve. It has done nothing but improve since its initial release, and he's done nothing but implemented our feedback. It's nice to have devs that care. Alright guys, that's it. I'll see you guys next time.